William Hutchison, Armenia Columbia Realty for expats and Salento Columbia Realty. I want to get this video up today because I did a video about 5 months ago. I think it's titled something like a 2,200 tree avocado farm pays for itself in 2 years. And I want to bring those numbers up to date. When I did the video, I had only the numbers that the owner gave me. And as in many cases, when someone is selling a business, frequently the income side gets bumped up, the expense side is reduced a little to make things, the profit, look a little bit better. I had no way of confirming the inputs. Colombia, as many of you know, is basically cash society. I couldn't go to a distributor to ask them what they had paid out to this particular finca over a period of time, nor could I go to the people that were supplying the fertilizer and the pesticides. The labor I can come pretty close to, but those other two things weren't available to me. So I just want to bring things up to date. I'm not going to go into the really fine detail of it, because it's just going to be a boring, end up being a boring video. But these numbers are much more realistic. What's happened is, about 10 days ago, I got another finca, avocado finca, listed for sale. And when I got his inputs that I was able to confirm with another client of mine that also owns an avocado finca, the second numbers looked much more realistic. And those are the numbers that I'm going to apply now to the first finca, and you'll see what the difference is. Right now we have a potential buyer. So the last week, both the buyer and I have done a lot of research as far as the due diligence is concerned, and I have confidence in these numbers. So let's go to the first finca, 2,200 trees. The yield is probably 75 kilograms a tree. I think that's a lot more realistic than the 200 kilograms that I was given. Both people, the avocado farmer now that tells me his farm produces 100, and the third individual that confirmed the 100, both say 200 kilograms is impossible as an average. Absolutely impossible. So we're going to use 75 kilograms a tree. There's 2,200 trees. Right now, avocados are at a historical high. Their farm gate price is $2 a kilo. I see it on the street. I used to buy 3 large avocados for $9,000, and on Friday, a couple days ago, I paid $15,000. Now, those avocados too are basically farm rejects, and not because there's anything wrong with the avocado interior, which you eat itself, but if the skins are blemished or maybe a little bit of different coloring, then they're not commercially viable. So this farm has a gross at $2 a kilo of $330,000 a year. The farm needs some love. It looks neglected. I think that maybe the numbers that he gave me for fertilizer and pesticide were accurate, and they're accurate because he doesn't seem to be spending enough on those two items. There's also only 2 employees. Both of these farms have close to a couple thousand avocado trees, so they're fairly similar. The second farm has platano and banana as well. So it has 6 employees. Based on what I've seen at the second farm with 6 employees, I think the first farm probably needs 4 for the 2,200 avocado trees. But anyway, if you look at at 330 as a gross income, the fertilizer and pesticides should be around 100,000 a year. Labor for 4 people, 20,000. I've got 10 in for miscellaneous just to kind of round up the the number to 130. The gross is 330. So the net income a year should be 200,000 for the year. A lot more realistic based on the asking price of $1 million. So 5 years to pay for the farm, as opposed to the, I think, 2 years that I mentioned in my original video. I'm much more comfortable with these numbers than I was even when I was doing them. I have some experience with financial statements, pro formas, projections, and things just didn't look right, but I couldn't put my finger on them. The only thing that could be wrong was the inputs, and it looks like they are. Now, if we look at the second finca, they're asking the same. They have 1,900 trees of about the same age. They also have a home and a kiosco which supports the pool. It's a large entertainment center, has a pool table and a ping pong table, 2 bathrooms in it. The home is 4-bedroom with 2 bathrooms and a nice pool. It also has more agricultural input. It's got 4,500 platano and 500 banana. So the income on that farm is about 60,000 gross more than the, actually 100,000 gross and about 60,000 net more than the first farm. Now, if you value the home, the kiosco, the pool, it has more land, it has more income at, let's say, 300,000 US, which is probably fairly conservative. And you take that 300,000 off the first finca, you're down to a value on the first finca of 700,000 US. I think that's tops. I think that the first finca is probably 600,000 to 700,000. So you pay it off in 3 or 3.5 years with the income from the crops. The other problem with the first finca is anything that's there, it was converted from a coffee farm, has to be jackhammered out. There's large coffee drying slabs. There's large concrete bean washing tubs, very big. I'd say that there's 2 of them, probably 12 by 12. The house has to go. There's an 80,000 gallon water reservoir, has to go. And there's a storage shed with a lot of junk in it that you might want to keep half of, maybe make it into a garage for a new home that you would build. So we have 2 things going on here. We have 2 fincas, one that I have a lot of confidence in the numbers that I think you could buy for maybe 900. If you take the 300 off of the first finca, 300,000 US, I think that's a conservative number because his number is also negotiable. You're down to 600,000 to 700,000, and I think that's the reasonable number. So if you're looking at a finca, the better value obviously is going to be the second one. If you want to get into a bit of a project, then maybe the first one is something that would interest you. The one thing about the first one that I don't know is if the trees have been neglected, and it looks like they have, can they get back to maximum production? I don't know, and we would have to have someone much more knowledgeable than I about avocados to figure that out. Because if you can't take it back to maximum production, then you have an issue. The other problem is at $2 a kilo, avocados are historically high at the farm gate, and if they ever slid back, when I listed that farm in the first place, they were 85 cents a kilo. But let's say they slide back to $1, the gross on both farms is cut in half, but the expenses aren't going to change. So the margins shrink. On the first farm, you're basically break even. You can still make a profit on the second farm, but the income from the first will not pay for the farm. And if it does, it'll be over a long period of time, might be 10, 12, 15 years. Now the prices are going to go up and down. Who's to say that they're going to stop at $1? They might go down to 60 or 70 cents, and then you're in deficit position. So it's a big consideration. It's a lot to think about. It's a huge commitment. The trees on the first farm are a little older, 7 years. The the second farm is rotating. 700 of their trees are 2.5 years old, so they won't bear fruit for another 2 years, and the other 1,200 are 5 and 6 years old, and they're at their maximum right now, and will be until they're 15 years old. Okay, so that's it for today. Just an update. The numbers on my first video are wrong, and I'm trying to get the accurate information out to you. William Hutchison, Armenia Columbia Realty for Expats and Salento Columbia Realty. I live in paradise, and you can too.